Okay, hey everybody, how you doing? Tekking101 here. Last night I partook in a picture show, ladies and gentlemen. Went to the old movie palace to see myself one of those talking pictures. I saw My Hero Academia Heroes Rising, and you know what? The title is very accurate. They are in fact heroes, and they do rise, as in like they actually fly in this movie. So that was pretty cool, right? You know, the title is straight up. Okay, so I have two spoiler warnings for you. I have a spoiler warning just in general, like I'm going to be talking about stuff that happens in the movie. So if you haven't seen it yet, and you want to see it, and you care a lot about what happens in it, and you don't want to know, spoiler warning for you. Other kind of spoiler warning about manga spoilers, because yesterday or a couple days ago I did a stream and I was talking about, hey, I'm gonna go see this movie, and people in the chat were like, yeah, that movie, it spoils stuff for like the manga stuff that even the anime hasn't touched upon yet. And I was like, oh, I wonder how bad that's going to be. And that's like, it's tough for me to like, okay, they don't come out and just like say things that happen in the manga. Like they just don't drop like, by the way, here's what's going on with Tomura Shigaraki, and they like explain his whole backstory. You know, they don't do anything like that, but they do show characters that have not really been properly introduced yet, doing things. And so things that if you're just an anime only watcher, you seeing this movie, you'd be like, whoa, I didn't know he was this. That was crazy. So, yeah, there are manga spoilers, kind of like a light version of that. A lot of stuff, though, focuses on an arc in the anime that we're going to be getting to pretty quickly. Like, right after the Cultural Fest arc that we're in right now, there's a lot of stuff with Endeavor and Hawks that we're going to get. So they're going to be introduced in the anime pretty soon anyway, so that's not really too much of a big deal. Like, I knew Hawks was going to be in the movie. Like, that was in the trailer, and I was really pumped for Hawks, and he showed up, and his voice was great, and he looks really cool. I can't wait to see him in the anime. They kind of touch upon some stuff with Hawks' character and what he's actually doing, and I at this point, I'm just gonna say spoilers for manga. If you don't want to get spoiled for manga-related stuff, then just stop the video right now, okay? Because I can't be dancing around this all the time. So, okay, we good? All right, we good? Except for you. Are you sure? Are you sure? Right there. You're like, I don't know, Tekking. I don't know if I want to or not. Well, 3, 2, 1. You're locked in. All right, okay. Can't click on the video. Can't click off the video now. You're not allowed. So they touch upon things relating to Hawks and him being a double agent, working, you know, with the League of Villains, but actually working, you know, with the heroes and stuff. So being like a double agent there. That stuff is not touched upon until the very end of Endeavor's arc, you know, like where he fights the high-end Nomu and everything. So yeah, it's like, all right, that's just shown in the movie there. Dr. Ujiko is in this. You see him talking to Shigaraki. He doesn't actually explain, you know, the circumstances that led, you know, Shigaraki to meet Ujiko and the whole past with Tomura and his family and everything. They don't address any of that stuff. But Ujiko is there talking to Shigaraki, and Shigaraki's like, we're taking orders from the doctor. Shigaraki, by the way, looking really fly in this movie. He has like this red like trench coat thing he's wearing. He just looks really badass in it. I love him. We don't get that much Shigaraki in this movie, but tell you, whenever he does show up, you get some goose pimples. You're just like, oh, okay. And especially the scene at the end where he just cold-bloodedly just kills the main villain of this movie. That's wow. Okay. But I'm talking about the end of the stuff. Let's set it up with like the premise here. Okay. So Class 1A kids are on an island kind of like in this isolated section of southern Japan, way south of like Kyushu. And the basic idea is that there were heroes on this island. It's like a very, very peaceful island. Only about 1,000 people live there. Mostly like, you know, there's a little bit of a town there, but mostly it's like farmland. And it's like, it's kind of like, honestly, when they said that, it's like, it's about a small town of about 1,000 people. No real crime has happened there in like 30 years. I'm like, oh, so the Class 1A kids are coming to my hometown. Okay, because it's like a really small village tucked away out in the middle of the mountains of Pennsylvania, where about 1,000 people live. Personally, I think it's way lower than that, but officially it's around 1,000, and no major crimes have, like, no murders have taken place here for as long as as far back as I've looked into it, okay? So, yeah, that's where they're going. So, there's a lot of stuff right now you'd figure, because this takes place during the winter, so like December, where there is a bit of a gap there in the manga where they do their joint training with Class B, And then after that, we kind of have that villain academia arc, where we focus on Tomura and, the Destro and all that stuff. So in that little gap there, I'm going to assume that's like in the continuity where this movie is taking place. So it's in the winter, but they're in like a tropical island. So it's like a nice area to, live there. And the heroes there have retired. So temporarily, Class 1A sets up a hero agency on the island and just helps the people of the island out with like common problems. Like, my tractor can't start. I'm like, Kaminari, go give him a jump. There's a beach where the citizens are hanging out. And so you have like Shoji being a lifeguard. You have Suyu jumping in the water to save a kid that gets washed out. You have Sero using his tape to like rope off like, off limits, like dangerous areas. Don't go over there. I really love that. I really do. Pretty much every single member of Class 1A gets a moment to really shine in this movie. That was kind of like I had a mental checklist when I was watching this. I'm like, all right, I want to see how they're going to focus on everybody. Because, with two heroes, there's only like a limited number of the heroes that ended up going to the expo. Like, there's certain heroes like Sato, I think, that weren't in that movie at all. Because it's like, all right, Sato, sorry, you're not going to get top billing for this first movie, right? But the second movie, all the students are there. All the Class 1A kids are there. And I was going down my checklist to see, like, all right, I want to see them do some stuff with the hero agency, helping out the citizens, but also having some scenes like fighting the villains and actually getting a chance to like show their stuff and everything. And I was very surprised. Pretty much everybody gets a shot, except for one character. Do you want to guess who it is? Even after watching the movie, I was kind of like driving home and I'm like, all right, did we get scenes with Ojiro? Actually, you know what? Ojiro actually has this really awesome scene where he fights against one of the main villains who's ridiculously powerful, Chimera. He's a chimera. He's just this wolf human guy, but he also has like feathers and like a reptile tail and he can breathe fire. And Ojiro goes up against this guy by himself, one-on-one, and actually manages to hold him off for a little while. I love that, alright? I'm like, holy shit, they actually gave Ojiro something to do. Now, he doesn't win or anything, but he doesn't, like, I was thinking, like, alright, Ojiro's like, go get others to help, I'll hold him off, and I'm thinking, oh, okay, we're gonna cut back to this fight, and Chimera's gonna be holding Ojiro up by his tail, and he's gonna be all bloody and broken, like, I was like, yeah, you freaking tailed freak, can't stand up to me, tosses him. No, it cuts back and it's like Ojiro's like actually like doing some cool like karate crap and he's like, dance of the flying tail storm, boom, 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 and it's like, it's not working, he's not like close to winning, because Chimera is ending up, like his final battle is against Todoroki, so that's like his, it's like, oh, alright, Izuku and Bakugo gotta take down the main villain, Shoto has to have a main villain to fight. Tokoyami fights another one of the main villains. Bakugo actually takes out another one too fairly early on in the movie. But yeah, I was really surprised they gave Ojiro stuff to do. Shoji, I was really waiting for it. Shoji's kind of disappointing in that, where he goes up against Chimera and he's like, Octoblopsol! And then he just gets face slammed by the dude. Later on, there's a scene where he goes up against the main villain. And it's like, it's like, all right, there's no way Shoji's gonna beat this guy. There's no way that's happening. But I thought he was gonna try to put up a fight or something. He's trying to protect the two kids in the movie. I forget their name. They're the two kids, and they're little kids, and they have the one kid has a quirk that Nine, the main villain, is trying to steal. It's whatever. It's like they're like little kids in an anime movie. It's like pretty much, tropes. We understand where this is going, right? So we gotta protect the kids! So it's funny though, really, because Shoji tries to protect them. He gets blasted by Nine. He's on the ground. One of the kids has the quirk of cell activation, which is basically like a hyper-regenerative quirk. And so Bakugo and Izuku show up for the final battle with Nine on this cliff. And it's like they're having this crazy duel of the fates fight with Nine. All the while, Shoji's passed out with these two kids. And the two kids are like centered, like they're very plot centric. Like they need to be there for the sake of this plot, because that's the whole reason Nine is on the island, to get this little kid's quirk. Okay, so they need to be there. But meanwhile, Shoji's just kind of on the background, just passed out, being healed, like watching this epic fight, like the final battle. All the other Class 1A kids are off doing other stuff. You know, they've either already been defeated or protecting the civilians, and yet Shoji is just like, oh yeah, this is a really cool fight. Oh god, my ribs, all of my arms hurt. And so that's what Shoji does, right? But no, the one student that I realized doesn't really do much of anything is Toru Hagakure, Invisible Girl. Her role in this is basically just to, like, there's a moment where they fight against Mummy, and she's off to the side just trying to get in touch with the other heroes, like, the cell phones aren't working! And that's her whole entire role for this movie. I mean, when you write an invisible character in your manga, it's funny, you know, because she's invisible. But then you ask, like, well, man, this is going to be kind of hard to write her into a role in the movie, right? Now, she does have other things she can do beyond just be invisible. Like, she has, like, the light refraction stuff. Pretty much, like, every Class 1A student gets a chance to show off gets a chance to show off their abilities that they displayed during the provisional license exam. So, like, Kaminari has that, like, disc things he shoots out. Jiro has, like, her little, her wrist speakers, and she does, like, the heartbeat distortion. Like, pretty much all of their moves that we got to see during, the provisional license they do, except Toru. I don't think Toru gets a chance to do that light refraction thing she can do. Like, she could, like, store light and, like, burst it out like a flashbang. She doesn't get a chance to do that. She doesn't really do much of anything. Even Sato, I gotta admit, doesn't do much, but Sato, at least, he has a scene at the beginning of the movie where he goes and rescues a kid, and it's actually really funny. It was actually one of the first big laughs of the movie, where this kid that washes out to sea, so Tsuyu goes to kind of rescue the kid, and Sato has a rowboat, and he's like, Sugar Rush! And he gets out there, grabs the kid, and he's like, it's alright, kid, you're alright! And this face is just like, and the kid's like, ah! But anyway, yeah, the theater was packed in, it was looking pretty good. You know, we're sitting there. So that's Sato. Sato has another scene where he tries to fight against Chimera, and he just rushes at him and goes to punch him, and then he just gets beaten down. He gets knocked in through a wall and gets knocked unconscious, but at least he tried. Yeah, Toru doesn't really get much of anything, but beyond that, all the other guys, like Mineta and Uraraka, have a really cool, scene together. Sero, they all work together to take down Nine. Uraraka, Sero, and Mineta basically drop an entire landslide. Like, they cause a mountain to collapse on Nine. They just, like, they go crazy plus ultra with their quirks, and that was a really cool scene to watch. Sero actually gets some pretty cool moments here. Where Sero is kind of, like, on the cusp of, like, alright, there's the high-tier members of the class, like Izuku, Bakugo, Todoroki, Tokoyami, Uraraka, characters we absolutely have to focus on, that have to have, like, they're, like, Hiroshima also, they're, like, main characters there. Then we have, like, the bottom ones, like Toru and Sato, don't really get a lot of focus on those guys. But then we get that mid-tier, that's, like, Sero, kind of high to mid-tier, Mineta's, like, mid, you know, Horikoshi Ida would probably be more high tier. Horikoshi plans on showing more arcs with all of these characters, like the ones that we haven't focused on yet. Like, he said, like, I'm planning, like, a Shoji arc. I would love a Shoji arc. I really like Shoji. There was even a scene when Chimera grabs Shoji. He comments on his mask, and he's like, you know, what are you wearing a mask for? You must be a freak or something. You know, your mama wishes she got rid of you or something like that. And I'm like, oh, are they gonna rip off Shoji's mask to see what's underneath? Like, that would be a cool thing to show in the movie. But no, he doesn't. And I'm like, dang it. Like, that would have been really cool. It's like, we got to see, it's like, all right, Shoji didn't get to do much, but we got to see what he looked like under the mask, right? I think, maybe even Horikoshi even drew him without the mask once, because I'm seeing, like, in my mind, mind right now, I'm picturing him with like a really long, like Glasgow smile, sort of like Zebra from Toriko. And I'm picturing with that. I don't know if that was something Horikoshi drew or was just like artwork from before he really created the character or whatever that was scrapped, but I remember that in my head right now. But anyway, so I really love that. I really love the setup of the movie with all the kids just being heroes, not just focused on, beating the crap out of villains, just helping the people of the island. The people of the island are very grateful and they're happy and they give food to all the kids and everybody seems to be working really well. Like, there's no professional heroes on the island. That's the setup. It's like there's no pro heroes to come and help them. They're all doing this on their own now. Of course, normally you wouldn't have to worry about anything because it's a peaceful island out in the middle of nowhere. And it's not a situation where the villains just show up for no reason. Like, they just happen to be on the island the whole time. No, so now let's talk about the villains of the movie. Oh, okay, so, they look cool. I mean, they look awesome. They're really neat. That's great. That's all well and good. Common problem whenever you get to an anime movie antagonist is unless they were established beforehand in the manga or you actually use a villain from the series and bring them back. If you're introducing a brand new villain in the movie just for this, which is what this does, 9, common problem where lack of development, lack of really, like, motivation, or rather the motivation for the character is very, very cliche and just bland. 9's goal is, I want to make the world a place where only the strong rule. Okay, 9, that's great. I love it, though, because there was a scene where he says this to Bakugo, like, I will make a world where those with a strong quirk survive and, they're in power, and all the weak are crushed under them. And Bakugo is just like, does the same old crap, boom! And, like, the fight, I'm like, that was good. That was good. I love that from Bakugo. He's like, yeah, same old movie antagonist bullshit, I mean, like, when you consider this is a superhuman world with quirks and everything, 9's perspective, it's cliche, but you can kind of understand it. It's just like, hey, we live in a world where all these people got superpowers. How about we just do a hierarchy based on that? Absolute might makes right mentality. That's the kind of world I want to live in. Those that have the strongest quirks, they're at the top, they have all the power, they get to decide what's it like for everybody else. Those are weak, well, too fucking bad, Like, that's his plan, his pyramid. It's cliche, but hey, I could see why someone in this world would adopt that kind of mentality. Alright, he's like, hey, I have this crazy powerful quirk that can, like, create, like, hurricanes whenever I want. I should be in charge of everything because I could create hurricanes whenever I want. So let's just do that, right? However, though, I will say big points toward 9 is that he's voiced by Johnny Yong, Ichigo, Black Power Ranger Bosch. And any character that is played by Johnny, I just instantly love because, like, I grew up with Ichigo. I love Johnny's voice. So, fantastic on that front. So even though his backstory was never really expanded upon, his quirks were kind of a little confusing, and his overall goal was rather cliche, he spoke in Johnny Yong Bosch's voice. So that gave me at least a couple of points for just that alone. 9, by the way, actually had a cameo in a manga chapter of My Hero Academia. Did you guys know that? I didn't know that. I had to look it up last night. Chapter 222. It's this scene with Tomura when he's talking to Ujiko about what his goal is, and it's just like, let's just destroy everything. And you see a panel with 9 right there off to the side. This was also the chapter where the announcement of the second movie was made, with the amazing cover page of Deku the Kaiju movie, because that was like the fake, like, Horikoshi, like, yeah, the second movie's greenlit, it's gonna be this. I'm like, I would still watch this. I still would. I love Todoroki, like, passing out off to the side. I love Ida, like, beautiful. Anyway, so, 9 has the ability, bear with me here, to obtain and steal 9 total quirks maximum, alright? So he's kind of like a diet version of All for One, where it's All for One could steal quirks and he could give them back to people, and it seemed like he could store, there might be an upper limit, but for All for One, we understand it's like a really high limit, because he could store literally dozens of quirks inside of himself, and mix them and mash them and fuse them together into a various different, like, conglomerations of quirks. 9 is only limited to 9. How is he able to do this? We don't know. It's basically like he has this really powerful quirk. His initial quirk is the weather manipulation. So you see him manipulating the weather in the movie, creating tornadoes and hurricanes, and just literally just like lightning bolt, lightning bolt, lightning bolt, like frying an entire city just like this. That's his original quirk. He gave himself over to the League of Villains and Dr. Ujiko, where he was experimented on for a little while, and then he gave him the ability, he took something from All for One and then gave it to 9, allowing him to steal quirks, up to 9 of them. Is the thing that Ujiko gave him itself a quirk? So now he has the weather manipulation as 1, and then the stealing quirk as 2? Or is it something else unrelated? We don't know. It's never really explained. Also, minor disappointment, but in case you were curious that we were actually going to get, like, elaborations on all of his quirks, we do not. There's a few quirks. I'm sitting there watching the movie, and I'm like, alright, his name is 9, so I assume he's going to use 9 different quirks in the movie. You just assume that, considering that's his name. I'm sitting there counting, and I only really made it up to 7? Maybe 8 or 9? Like, okay, so let's go through it. All right. Keep in mind, by the way, something else. He can only hold a maximum number of 9. So if the whole goal of the movie is he's trying to steal this kid's quirk of cell activation because he needs to, like, stabilize his body or some bullshit. So he's like, I need this kid's quirk so I don't, like, he does the thing like Kimimaru from Naruto, where he uses too much of his power, he doubles over in pain and starts coughing up blood. Alright, so he's like, I need a quirk that can stabilize my body, and then when I get healthy, I can rule the world. That's the plot. So I'm like, alright. He has the weather quirk, that's 1. Let's just say the ability to steal other quirks, that's 2. He's got the laser beams. He loves to use the laser beams. That's his main offensive technique in this movie. He just fires finger lasers, okay? Which, to be fair, if you had finger lasers and like 8 other quirks, you would probably use the lasers as much as possible. He's got a shield quirk. It kind of resembles the air shield from that kid in Class 1B has, but it's way tougher. He can, like, stack shields on top of each other. It's basically just like a force field quirk. He's like, he makes a shield, then another one, then another one, then another one, and it can block 20%, full cowling, one for all, and it's like a ridiculously OP shield quirk, okay? That's 4. He's got the water dragons. Water dragons just come out of him. They're not made of water, but they're blue, and they got fins. He can summon leviathans just from his body. I don't know where he got that quirk from. That's a very specific quirk. Hey, what's your quirk, Bakugo? Oh, I can make explosions. What's your quirk, Todoroki? Oh, I can make ice and fire. Oh, that's pretty cool. What's your quirk, random dude? I can make giant water dragons from my body that come out and devour you. I can make, like, dozens of these. I'm like, oh, okay. Damn. Now, we'll get back to it, but he can create water dragons that come out and bite people, all right? So that's 5. I did the weather already. He already has them. He only uses this, like, once, but when he was fighting Deku the first time, Deku's using his air force to, like, fire, like, the things. Something else that we haven't gotten yet in the anime. That's coming up pretty soon, though. That's in the Gentle arc. But I think 9 counters with, like, a wind gust, wind bullet quirk of his own, but he only uses it, like, once. So that's 6, I guess? Alright. So we got quirk stealing, lasers, shields, water dragons, weather, wind gusts. Oh, he has the scanning quirk. He can, like, you know, he can go, like, infrared with his eyes, but with quirk sensing. So he can, like, scan someone and then figure out what their quirk is. So he scans the little kid and he's like, you have the quirk I want. He scans Deku and it's like, it doesn't tell him like the name of the quirk, obviously. It's just like, he scans Deku and it's like, you have a quirk that results in super strength. He scans Bakugan and it's like, you have an explosion quirk. You know, like, he doesn't understand everything how it works, but he understands the nature of it, okay? So that's 7. That are like, those are the main things he uses the entire movie. That wind thing he only uses like once. Later on during the climax of the movie, when like he like breaks all of his like life support gear he has on him, he goes into like he has like wings so he can fly now, and I'm like, all right, I guess that's another quirk. I guess, why didn't he use that before? But okay, so now he has wings and he can fly. I guess that's 8 quirks. And also I wrote down replication ? Because maybe he can only create, like, he creates like 1 water dragon at first, but near in the final climax of the movie, he's creating like a dozens of these things coming out, try to attack Bakugan and Izuku. So I'm like, all right, maybe he has a replication quirk that can, you know, replicate the dragons, multiply them or something. But you also have to keep in mind here that he wants to steal the kid's quirk, so he has to have an empty slot for that. And he also tries to steal Izuku's, but he can't, and the reason he thinks he can't is because Izuku has multiple quirks in him. That's something else that's kind of spoiled. Like, that's coming up relatively soon in the manga, but still, I mean, they bring it up. So yeah, they can't do it because he has One for All, but he also has Float, he also has Black Whip, he also has all the other quirks from the previous users of One for All, so he can't steal them. So I'm just going to assume the 7 that we see in the movie, quirk stealing, scanning, lasers, shields, water dragon, weather, and wing gusts, those are the 7 that he's got, alright? The 8th slot was going to be the kid's cell division, cell activation quirk, and that still left a blank spot, so he's like, you know what, I really like this Izuku kid's quirk, I'm going to try to steal this one. So that would make sense, because if he only had 1 slot left and he needed the kid's quirk to survive, he wouldn't have even attempted, like, well, I can only have 1 more quirk stored, so I'm going to take this kid instead. So I'm assuming he had 2 slots. So that's the confusing thing, because his name is 9, but he doesn't actually use 9 quirks. And the scene at the end of the movie, where he's going all crazy, powerful, devil magic god, that's just because he's going devil magic god, true power unleashed, and he has wings now. And you just roll with it, right? Okay, yeah. Or maybe they're laser wings. He combines the lasers with his back and he makes laser wings. I don't get it. Okay. So, before we get into the final battle with 9, though, like, properly, and what happens, let's go really quickly through, just some other villains, because I'm kind of glossing over them. Most of them are not super interesting. Their quirks are interesting. Their personalities, not so much. Probably the one that's the most interesting is Chimera. I really like Chimera. There's another guy called Mummy, who's like a ninja dude, and he's covered in cloth, as you would imagine, and he has the quirk that whatever he wraps in his cloth becomes his, like, puppet. So if he wraps, like, a vending machine in his quirk, he can make the vending machine, like, kind of shaped like a human and, like, attack people. So that was actually pretty cool. He specifies that when he wraps Bakugo up with it, he's like, okay, I cannot control living things, but there's a lot of stuff you're wearing that's not living things. I can wrap you in my cloth and then control you because I can move your clothing and your pants and your armor and your gear and all that stuff. So that's a pretty cool way to utilize that quirk. Bakugo he gets wrapped up in it. He gets forced to fight against Kirishima. He has to detonate one of his gauntlets in order to escape that. So he only has one of his gauntlets throughout the rest of the movie. Aoyama goes up against Mummy first, and it's like, okay, Aoyama has the ability to fire a laser from his stomach, like a straight-up ki blast from Dragon Ball. That is not utilized as much as I would have liked in the actual series. Now, he does have a major drawback with that, where he can't fire the laser for very long, or else he literally, like, pukes, or, like, it comes out the other end, some of it leaks out, right? Which makes you really feel bad for Aoyama. Aoyama's hero costume, you understand, has to have, like, an equipment in there, like astronauts have, like, in their spacesuits, where it's like, in case he leaks out, it has to have, like, a pouch to protect him. Like, that has to be in his hero outfit. I feel bad for Aoyama. But he can fire a damn laser out of his stomach. I'm like, so if you wanted to see Aoyama use that damn thing like an actual, like, Dragon Ball attack, this is the movie for you. Because Mummy shows up, and he starts attacking them, and, you know, it's Mineta, Aoyama, and Toru. We've already established Toru does dick in this movie. So it's up to Mineta, and it's up to Aoyama. And he's like, time to do your naval laser. And he's like, we! And he's like, boom! And he's like firing it off. And Mummy is creating all of these minions to attack, but Aoyama's holding up his laser for a long time. He's slicing through dozens of these damn constructs, these mummy zombies out of like inanimate objects that are attacking him. And later on in the movie, Aoyama uses like a straight up like Kamehameha like against Nine, and it's hilarious. It's like Nine is approaching the island for the final battle, and Class 1A has like a master plan. They work together. They Ida and Izuku and everybody pulls their brains together to come up with a perfect plan here. And Momo and Aoyama's job is to separate all of the villains, so for like one-on-one fights. So they're approaching the island, and so, or like there's an island off to the side of the island. They're approaching that, and Aoyama like fully charges up his cannon, and he's like, fully charged naval laser! And it's just this giant freaking goth beam that just gets fired, and Nine blocks it, but it like causes the other villains to, you know, they get scattered, and then Momo busts out these two giant cannons and then blasts them like these giant artillery cannons that are like rail guns from like the war, and just boom, 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 boom. Oh my god, it is such an awesome scene. And you know what? I was totally expecting after that moment, like, alright, Aoyama, Momo, man, you guys did your job, alright? You separated the villains, you could take a rest on this one. I was not expecting them to have any more of a involvement in the final battle, because their job was just to separate them, and they did a pretty damn good job at that. But no, later on, there's a scene where Bakugo and, like, Izuku get beaten down, and, like, Nine's approaching them. He's like, you will be defeated. And then he, like, blocks from behind, because Aoyama, like, boom, tries to fire, like, shoot him in the back, and he's like, ha-ha, I blocked you. But it's like, whoa, okay, man, Aoyama's like, I'm gonna take this guy out once and for all, oui, monsieur! And just like, fires the damn... It was pretty cool. That was a pretty cool scene, right? So the villains get separated. Ashido and Tokoyami go up against a woman named Slice, redhead, wicked hot. She can fire blades out of her hair. She can turn her hair into scythe blades. She can fire off needles. You know where this is going. They fight in a cave, playing to Tokoyami's advantage. That was a great scene because, like, Ashido spits some acid at her at first, but then Tokoyami comes out of the shadows, and they're in a cave, and he's got Dark Shadow, and he's wielding these freaking, like Wolverine claws on his hands, and he's like, back off, Ashido. The darkness is my domain. And everybody in the theater laughed at that. And I think the Funimation writers really missed a huge opportunity here, because Tokoyami comes out of the darkness with his like super sharp Wolverine claws, cloaked in Dark Shadow. The woman he's fighting uses her hair to turn her hair into like giant like scythe blades and fire off needles and stuff. This, and like after he says, you know, the darkness is my domain, Slice's line is something like, well, aren't you a cheeky brat? And then the fight begins. How hilarious would it have been if instead of, you know, you cheeky brat, she would have said something like this. She comes out, he's like, the darkness is my domain, Ashido, back off. And she walks out and she's just like, well, aren't you an edgy kid? And then, and oh my god, that would have been the perfect opportunity to do that. That would have been so damn funny. I was like, you missed an opportunity on that one, Funimation. That would have been great if that would have been the line. So anyway, they continue to fight. Ashido, it was a really cool scene where she's like breakdancing to avoid all of the needles that are getting shot at her. She uses her acid to dissolve part of her hair, and she's like, yeah! And she's firing off these needles, and she's like breakdancing to dodge them, and 3 of the needles like get her like right in the damn thigh, and you see them like pierced in, and she's like, oh god! And she drops, like, oh, that looks painful. And Tokoyami, as you can figure from this point, he sees Ashido get taken down, like crack her skull off the side of the cave, and with these like needles in her thigh, and Tokoyami's like, not Ashido's thighs! And then he doesn't actually say that, but he goes into Berserker Dark Shadow mode, like during the forest training camp, and it's just like, whoa! And she's like, ah! and then the cave gets she gets defeated there. Cave collapses, and that's the end of that. Oh, I didn't talk how Mummy was defeated. Okay, Bakugo should have straight up killed him, but he's alive because of course. But no, after the fight with after like Aoyama and Mineta fight against Mummy for a little while. This is way earlier in the movie. He gets defeated way early, but Bakugo fights against the dude, and he literally grabs him, plants his face against a wall, takes his freaking gauntlet, and just releases it point blank range, maximum shot of that damn thing. And he's just like, boom! Die! And just blast him through a fucking wall. That guy should have died, alright? Point blank range, right in the face, maximum output, die! Boom! And you know, he's alive. He's chained up. He's good. He's not talking, but he's alive. Someone else that should have died, Chimera. Chimera should have died, right? Okay, so we don't know what the deal is with Chimera. He has, like, a shit ton of quirks. We don't know. I'm swearing a lot in this video. We don't know how he has as many as he does. Maybe he was a previous experiment of All for One or something, because he has a quirk. He's like a wolf body with a reptile tail that he can, you know, move around. He's got, like bird features in his arms, and he can shoot fire. And he also has a hulking brute form that he can transform into. Because he does that, he's almost defeated by, like, Ida and Tsuyu and Shoto. They're all fighting against him. Kirishima's there as well. And, he's like, you think you defeated me? I'll show you what it's really like to be a monster your entire life. So I'm like, oh, that would have been really cool if we got to get some backstory on him, but we don't. So he just, like, he gets all ripped, and his features get all monstery. He grows horns like he's a damn devil. And Kirishima's like, hey, he kind of reminds me of Amajiki. And then he just starts firing like a super giant, like, he sets the whole damn forest on fire with this giant, like, fire cannon he's got out of his mouth, right? And, you want to know more about that guy, right? It's just like, all right, why does he have that many quirks? What the hell kind of quirk does he have, right? I want to know more about this guy. His backstory is very interesting. He's also in the Funimation dub, which is what I saw. He's voiced by the same guy that does Smoker in One Piece, so I just really love that guy's voice. Greg Dulce, I think his name is. But anyway, so Shoto's the one that finishes him off. And he kind of remembers, like, some of the advice that Endeavor gave him. Once again, I don't think we're up to that point in the anime yet. The advice that Endeavor gave him, which was, you know, just increase your fire to the utmost limits and then beyond the limits, like to the maximum power for flash fire. And Shoto doesn't do that, but he's like, not that, but I'm going to do what he said with my cold powers, with my ice. So I'm just going to increase my ice to the maximum level of cold. And so everybody tries to hold him down, like they grab his tail, and Ida, like, grabs his arms, and Kirishima grabs him, Tsuyu whips her tongue around, trying to, like, hold him down for long enough. Shoto jumps up, rams his fist down Chimera's throat, and just, like, colder, 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 and just ice begins to, like, form over his whole body. Colder! And then just finally, a giant pillar of just ice just erupts out of his mouth and just, and just he freezes all of his organs solid, and, you know, freaking Todoroki just, okay, I hope that did it. I'm like, Mummy should have died, and Chimera should have died too. I could maybe give you Slice. I mean, she was buried under a giant, like, cave rubble. She should probably be dead too. But if you're gonna give me, like, alright, who's most likely to survive? Someone that has some rocks fall on them. Someone that takes a point-blank, like, TNT explosion right in their face through a brick wall. Or someone that has literally every internal organ frozen solid and has a giant icicle just erupt out of their mouth. I would probably go with the lady that fell on the, like, I got some rocks crushing her. She would probably be most likely to survive after all of that crap. Wow, that was crazy. But those are really cool fights. Those are really cool fights. So now, moving on to the finale of the movie. Missing a few other things, mostly involving the kids. I don't care. The final battle between Nine and Bakugo and Izuku. First off, they fight against Nine 3 times in the movie, maybe 4. Izuku fights him first, then Bakugo shows up to help him. They both get defeated by lightning attack because he can control the weather. And then later on, they fight him again. They get beaten down again. And then it's the final battle on the cliff, and it's like, oh no, if we don't beat him here, then he's gonna kill everybody. All the other class 1As like are damaged, or they're wounded, or they're protecting the civilians. We can't do anything. So it's like, all right, Deku, let's do this. So, at this point in the movie, Nine has already been established to be incredibly overpowered, and it's like, there's no way that they're going to possibly be able to beat him. So I'm really hoping, like, I hope this isn't some stupid thing where it's like, Izuku goes 100% and Bakugo just punch him really hard, and he dies. Now, kind of that's what happens, but no, it isn't just like with their base abilities. Like, even Izuku does 100% one for all full cowling, which he can just do now. It's explained because the kid has cell activation and he can maintain it a little better. Bottom line is, Izuku can only use 100% when he has a small child that can either rewind time or someone that can heal cells at an incredibly fast rate. That's the only time that Izuku can use 100%. So, yeah. Just make sure you always have that on you, or have Hatsume create some sort of, like, mechanized child that can always, like, fix up Izuku and everything will be good. So I was thinking, like, is Izuku just gonna go 100% and just, like, punch him, and then Bakugo uses Howitzer, and then just that's how Nine is defeated through the power of friendship and cooperation and all that? Well, they do try that. Izuku goes 100%, and Bakugo uses Howitzer, and no, it doesn't defeat him. It actually kind of just pisses him off even more. It gets to the point where they're both, that he sends out the water dragons. Izuku and Bakugo are both, like, in the mouths of these water dragons, and Nine is just like, I will now claim my prize. And it's like, they're, like, right next to each other, you know, in the mouths of the dragons, and they're all beaten to crab, and they're bleeding out, and they're like, ugh. And then Izuku looks over at Bakugo, and he's like, Bakugo, I have an idea. Shut up, Deku, what is it? It's kind of crazy, but hear me out on this. What? I'm gonna give you one for all. So what they do is they're bleeding really bad. Their fingers are all bleeding. Izuku's finger's bleeding. So he reaches out and they, you know, share blood with each other. Izuku gives him willingly one for all, and then they both activate. Okay. Instead of like stopping to explain every moment of this, I'm just gonna explain to you what happens, and then I'll do the commentary. Excuse me. I'll do the commentary after the fact, okay? Izuku gives Bakugo one for all. Izuku still has it because All Might still had it. He goes 100% full cowling. Bakugo goes 100% full cowling. Their hairs go Super Saiyan 100%, same deal like when Izuku fought against Chisake. They both go 100% full cowling. They combine their powers together, they punch a hurricane into oblivion. Nine has his wings, they begin the fight is beautiful, there's no sound effects, it's just like this choir music playing in the background, like literally for this purposes of this fight, Izuku and Bakugo become demigods, fighting against like the evil underlord of hell, okay? It's a beautifully animated scene where Izuku's like dancing through the da-da-da-da-da, and Bakugo's like, and it's like, and like, okay, it's Duel of the Fates level shit, literally. And eventually Nine is defeated with their cooperative powers, and they're both on the ground, and it's this scene where they're lying next to each other, and then the heroes arrive finally. All Might's there, Hawks is there, Endeavor's there. Endeavor, like, holds Todoroki and starts bawling his eyes out, which, that was such a heartwarming scene. That was adorable to watch. But anyway, okay, so Bakugo getting one for all. Okay. First off, I want everybody to keep in mind, it's a movie. It's not canon, alright? This is never going to be referenced again. Like, we're not going to be in the manga of My Hero Academia like, hey, Bakugo, remember that one time we were stationed on that island and we fought against that giant dude with the wings and the water dragons and I gave you one for all? Remember that? That was a crazy weekend. It'll never get brought up again. It's a movie. They have the ability to, like, you know, take some leeway with it, and at the end of the day, it looked amazing. to see Bakugo with One For All in like the orange way and Izuku's green and see them combine their powers together. Does it make sense? Not really. Not really. Does it make sense that Izuku could pass it on to Bakugo? Absolutely. I mean, that was already established. Izuku could pass it on to anybody that he wanted to. Does it make sense that Bakugo would immediately understand how to use full cowling 100% and be able to handle that power in conjunction with his explosion powers? Not really. I mean, Bakugo's a genius, but he just literally got the power. When Izuku got it, he ingested All Might's hair, and it took a while for it to digest to actually unlock the power. They shared blood with this, so it was more of like a quick... So I'm okay with that. I'm not too upset about like the fact that Bakugo's able to use it like immediately after getting it, because they did a different method than what All Might did with Izuku. But it is kind of ridiculous that he was able to use it as well as he could have in like literally 5 seconds. He already knows how to do full cowling, the thing that Izuku took like months for him to learn. But the thing that doesn't make it okay. Once again, I'll just explain to you what happens. This is a little bit more vague though, but I'll explain to you what happens. Okay, so they both pass out. Well, Bakugo passes out. All Might kind of grabs Izuku, holds him up, and Izuku has this heartfelt, tear-filled moment with All Might where he starts crying and he's like, I'm sorry, All Might. I couldn't do it. I gave away your power to Bakugo because we needed to defeat Nine, but you trusted me to give me the power and I failed. And I just... It really does feel like, because, like, you know, I feel like Izuku looks up to All Might not just as a role model, but also a fatherly figure in a lot of respects. And, you know, it's like, oh, my dad believed in me and gave me my power, and then I had to give it away, you know? And it's like, it's a very emotional scene. So Izuku then passes out. All Might tells him, like, no, you did exactly what you had to do. You did embody the courage and the nature of One For All. You did what you had to do. You saved lives. You saved children. You did the right thing. Do not feel bad. I'm not angry. You did what you had to do. So that was a really nice moment. Izuku passes out in All Might's arms, and he gets to keep One For All. Bakugo doesn't retain it. Izuku keeps it. And All Might is even kind of flummoxed by this as well. All Might's like, oh, well, that might be because Bakugo passed out before the transfer was Wait, no, that doesn't make any sense. Like, All Might doesn't even understand how this works. And at the end of the movie, Izuku kind of gives us a wrap-up narration at the end of at the very end of the movie, and it's basically like, yeah, Bakugo woke up and he doesn't remember getting One For All, and I still have it, so I'm just gonna roll with it. But the most that we get is that All Might kind of has a vision of the previous users of One For All. Like, we see Nana and Daigoro Banjo, and we see like the original user. We see them all there, and they're kind of like, it's implied that because One For All is sort of self-aware, the personalities in the quirk have their own, like, they remember what it was to be alive. It's not like they're just there like a storage for the power. Like, Daigoro Banjo still has his personality, even if it's like in a limited capacity. I'm not gonna say that like they have their like souls stored in the quirk. Maybe that might be how it's going, but they at least have a limited capacity of their personality, so it's like self-aware. So I'm gonna assume that what the explanation was is, when Izuku passed the power to Bakugo, One For All was aware of, like, okay, he doesn't want to pass on the quirk, but unless he does that, they're all gonna die, so this is the only way for him to survive, so we're going to temporarily lend out One For All to this other kid, Bakugo, and make it easier for him to handle, because if he doesn't do that, they're all gonna die. And the quirk will end right then and there. So there's like it's like the awareness of the spirits of the previous users being like, all right, we'll give him some of it, and then we'll take it right back. It'll be okay. They need to do this in order to live. Also, it's at the end of the movie, and it would look really badass if they did that, right? That's the best I got. If that makes sense to you, I'll be honest with you, it doesn't make complete sense to me either. There's a lot of holes with that, but that's the best explanation we got, essentially. Is that One For All, because it's self-aware, chose to keep it with Izuku. That's all we got, all right? Once again, if you're not a fan of that, I redirect you back to the original point. It's a movie. It's non-canon. They mostly just did that because it would look really, really freaking cool. And it did look really, really freaking cool. Also, like I said, like, 9 was so overpowered, like drastic, times call for drastic measures. That was about as drastic as you could imagine. Like, if Izuku ever even attempted to do that in the manga, that's when shit really got real. When he's like, I think I have to pass on my powers now. That's a whoa, you don't touch that kind of moment, right? So if it happened in the manga, very different kind of attitude I would have about this. I'm not even saying it can't happen in the manga, but not right now. Maybe if we get like the final arc of My Hero Academia, like the last story, we flash forward into the future and like Izuku has to pass it on to somebody else. Like if we get that, that's fine. But like right now, as like they are in the current manga, him passing it on to anybody would be seen as like, what? No, but. It's a movie, it's cool. It's like, imagine if you're like watching a new Dragon Ball movie, and like if like in the Broly movie, you had Goku and Vegeta and Frieza do a 3-way fusion to fight Broly. Like, that doesn't make any sense. 3-way fusions, that's not how that works, but it would look really cool, right? Right? Okay, so it's whatever. That's the way I view it. Yeah, the ending was kind of like, yeah, well, we won. And then 9 is still alive. Izuku and Bakudo don't kill him. He's kind of like, all desiccated and all shriveled up in a field. And Shigaraki just appears in front of him and just grabs his face and just like, bye, 9, and just disintegrates 9 and then just warps away. And I'm like, and we're in the theater, we're like, oh, Jesus. Someone in the theater was like, oh, that's cold-blooded, damn. And I was like, yeah, Jesus. He just literally walks out, he's like, movie has to be over. Bye, 9. And then he walks away. Oh, man. Oh, something else about the theater I was in that I found funny. So there was somebody in the theater that had a little kid with them, like a baby. And it wasn't as bad as you'd think. I mean, occasionally throughout the movie, the baby cried. But there was a scene in the movie where they were talking about All for One, like they're talking about like, oh, maybe 9 has a quirk similar to All for One, and an image of All for One flashes up on the screen with the mask, and he's just like out holding his hand. The exact moment that All for One appeared on the screen, the baby was like, yeah! And everybody kind of laughed in the theater because it's like, wow, that was like a perfectly timed baby cry. Like All for One appears and it's like boom, and it's like, it's like, oh, he's bad, he's evil. I'm like, well, yeah, you're not wrong, kid. Like, that's, okay, so that was pretty funny. Yeah, there was a lot of other really funny scenes in the movie, too. There was a scene where Kaminari uses himself as a lightning rod to protect against his ability, like 9's ability to control electricity and, like, to, like, cause, like, lightning bolts and stuff. So that was a cool scene where he's like, we use that idiot Kaminari as a lightning bolt. He's like, like, Kaminari can block an entire lightning bolt, like, the kids maybe get a little bit of an upgrade, but hey, they've been training for a long time. I mean, they're not the same kids that first arrived at UA. They've been in UA for like 7-8 months at this point, or around there. They've trained a lot. They've gotten better. Aoyama pulling off the fully charged Kamehameha, maybe that's a little bit overkill, but still, it was awesome to see, right? And Mineta gets to use his balls. I mentioned it earlier, but there's a scene where Mineta and Uraraka and Sero, they use their ability to, like, like, they basically cause a landslide on top of 9, and 9 just breaks out of it because he's 9, but yeah. But yeah, that's the movie. There's a few other things, but I think I tackled all the main moments. I've been going on for about 50 minutes now. I'm gonna get off here. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed. Yeah, I would definitely go see it if you haven't. Like, I don't know why. It's like, I waited through 50 minutes of your explanation before I would make a decision on whether or not I'm going to go see it. Go see it if you can. It's still playing in the theaters. Like, there's like a dubbed and subbed. Like, they're going to, like, each day is like, this is the dub day, this is the sub day. I saw it dubbed. If I'm in the neighborhood, I might go see it subbed. We'll see how that goes. But yeah, I would definitely watch the movie again. It's definitely worth a second watch through. And I would say it's better than Two Heroes, just for the sake that you have more of the whole cast there. And Two Heroes had a lot of the like heroes, like pro heroes. This is focused on very much just the class 1A trying to figure this problem out on their own, and they do a really good job at it as well. Yeah. So anyway, thanks for watching, everybody. This will be Tekking101 plus Ultra signing out.